It is time for an African entrepreneurship update. And the first thing I've got to say is that at some point in your journey, when you have this crazy ambitious goal that you wish to achieve, right, and you want to go from here all the way up to here, it is important that you call up your most crazy delusional friend, right, the friend who's also equally ambitious, and whether or not you guys have achieved something or not, right, you call them up and you say, hey, right, do you want to work together? Do you want to hear about my ideas? Right, and in that delusional group chat, right, there's going to be something that happens. You will stop seeing yourself for the situation or for the person that you are, and you will start assuming the position of the person that you want to be. I've come to learn in the last few months that achieving what you want to achieve has nothing to do, right, with the state at which your life looks at, but it has everything to do with the people that you're communicating with, right, because your communication changes when you're speaking to your most ambitious friend. Right? You actively want to read. You actively want to improve your vocabulary. You actively stop assuming this position of submissiveness, right? And you start being very, very dominant in what you're trying to get out there. You mature as a person and you mature in your ways, right? Because you're like, you know what? This is my most ambitious friend. This is the friend I can touch multi-millionaire status with. Right? Why would I play around with this friend? No, I'm gonna call them up and I'm gonna tell them my dreams, and they're gonna tell me their dreams. And in our delusional, group chat, right, we're gonna figure out a way to make sure that each and every one of us have our dreams achieved. And that is what friendship should be. Right? That is what friendship should be. Because a lot of us are surrounded by so many people. So many people who are rather trying to dim our lights, who would never have these conversations because they're not ambitious, right? Or either way, right, they're not the people you go to the next level with, right? So this is your calling to call up your most ambitious friend and be like, you know what? I'm trying to start a business because I have been speaking to my most ambitious friend, right, and assuming the position of the person I've always wanted to be, and I've never seen myself the way that I am with them. When I speak to this person, I'm already assuming a CEO position. I am already speaking like terminology that I know but I never use, right? Because I'm always too scared of being judged. I use with them. I use that vocabulary with them. I'm speaking about hectic, technical business terms that I always tell myself, no, like I don't know them, or I'm doing too much. With your most ambitious friend, you're not doing too much. With your most ambitious friend, you're not doing too much because the both of you are going in the same direction, right? But with everybody else, you'll be doing too much. Right? I remember people say, else you're doing too much. Why are you going to the gym every day? Else you're doing too much. Right? All this business stuff. Humble yourself. Humble yourself. Humble myself. Who? My friend. Right? That same craziness has gotten me so many opportunities. That same ambition. That willingness, right, to know who I speak to about certain things and who I don't. Because not everybody's supposed to have those conversations. Not every single person that you think wants what you want. Because when you start speaking about, and this is the age, right? This is the age or the period in your 20s when the most ambitious people, the people who used to speak the most about what they wanted to achieve, they stop believing in themselves and they start doubting it. Why? Because life comes to them. Right? Life hits them so hard and they can't get up. But when you're surrounded by ambitious people, you will get up. I was the other day, I was hit with something I never thought I would ever be hit with in my life. There were things that happened, variables I never could have ever estimated, right? And you know what my friend said? My friend said, no, you're going to fight this thing. My friend was like, you'll fight this thing. I know that you're not the type of person to back down, Elsie. I know that this is just a season. This is just a moment, but this is the thing that causes us to improve. These are the moments that teach us how to be better. But if I didn't have that friend, if I was not actively, nourishing that relationship since we were in high school, even when we weren't necessarily, aiming, yes, we were aiming for big things, but we never had the terminology. We were never well traversed with what you were trying to achieve, right? If I never maintained and watered that relationship, if I never prayed over that relationship, if I never would consistently just improve so that I could maintain my status in this relationship, I would have given up at that moment. So this is your calling to call your most craziest, ambitious friends and say, you know what, we're going to do it. What are we going to do? We're going to become multimillionaires. We're going to drive cars. Because even now, my perception of wealth has changed. I no longer see expensive cars and expensive estates, and I'm like, wow. No, I'm like, that's me. Give me 2 years, I'll be there. And it's not like this, like it's not like I'm desperate for these things anymore. I appreciate all that I have and I appreciate all that I can have. But it's no longer this, this moment every single day when I'm so desperate for this thing that like it is costing me my sleep, it is costing me my sanity. And the biggest thing people don't teach you about success, right, is that if you are so desperate for these things, they'll never come to you. Because the biggest energy that repels things is desperation. So if you're desperate for a relationship, you're desperate for a car, you're desperate for everything, right, or anything or everything, right, nothing will come to you. But if you let go and you're detached and you do your part, right, but you show up accordingly, right, you just do what you need to do. You don't do it slightly more. You don't overextend yourself, right? Neither do you underextend yourself or not put in the effort. No, you do what you can do, and you let God do His part. And I promise you will achieve your dreams. But this is that calling, because the woman I see when I'm speaking to this friend, and not only is it that that they are supportive or that they show up for me, but it is that the person that I assume, the role that I assume when I'm with them. I'm not just Elsie as I was. I instantly have the hardest of conversations, and like they confront with me some of the biggest things I was scared of confronting, and they challenge me, and not disrespectfully, because I also have this idea, right, that challenging your friend means disrespecting your friend. No, you don't challenge your friend by disrespecting your friend. You challenge your friend by showing them respect and saying they should know who you are, they should know your character. Because when this friend tells me the truth, they don't disrespect me to tell me the truth. No, this friend tells me genuinely, like, Elsie, I'm not coming from a bad place, and I know this person because I've experienced a lot of life with this person and seen them through so many seasons. They don't disrespect me, right? And this is another thing, right? A lot of people have not learned. You can only have a good friend when you're able to challenge that friend respectfully. Because a lot of us, when we're challenged, we go, no, but no, why do you say it so forcefully? When you have a differing opinion to someone, you don't have to say no, right? Because that person already gets this thing that you're attacking them when you say no. You're supposed to say, I see it differently. I don't see it the way you see it. But Elsie, have you considered this other part? But I'm not like, let me give you the context behind why I'm telling you these things. The way that and this is another lesson I have learned, right? You can never want to be among some of the most high quality, high performing people when you yourself are not that too. Because sometimes I think about it and I'm like, it took me a lot to become the person who can be challenged, right? And not take offense to it, and also not to offend others. Because you'll never be in a room with people who improve you, right? Your most ambitious friend will not call you. If your most ambitious friend believes that you will judge them wrongfully, right? You will wrongfully terminate your relationship with them because they either made a mistake or they don't know what choice to make. Because it's one thing to have a friend who stands by you, right, in the best of times. But it's another thing to have a friend who will hear your whole story and still want to stay with you and still want to see you and still tell you that there is more for you in this life and not give up on you, right, because of what you're going through at that moment, right? So this, again, if you have ambitious friends, keep them, right? For the rest of them, you can call them occasionally, hi, what. But it's those ambitious friends that will take you somewhere. Because the person that I see when I speak to my friend is not the person everybody else sees. It is a version of myself that is convicted. It's a version of myself who speaks like the person I've been called to speak as. Not as the person I dim my light to make other people comfortable, or I dim my light because, I'm doing too much. No, it's the version of myself I know who can create real change, right? And that is the version of myself I wish to see more of always. So call your most ambitious, crazy friend. The person who has crazy dreams, the person who is telling you they're going to be a billionaire, they're going to be a musician, they're going to drive a Range Rover, they're going to own a corporate big company, they're going to own a building. That is the friend that you need. And not just that friend, but the ambitious friend who actually shows up. Because there's one thing to be ambitious, and there's another thing to actually act on that ambition. You need the friend, right, who will take 10 hits and still get up. You need the friend, right, who go through the worst things and still call you. You need the friend who picks up your call, because that's how seriously they take you. Because my friends take me very seriously. At least the most ambitious ones. The rest, do what you want. We pray for you, amen. But my most ambitious friends, when I phone, because I don't phone people just to phone people. Me, I can generally tell you, except for my family, if I phone you, there's a reason I'm phoning you. And it's either because I have an opportunity, right? Someone in my network needs something. And me, I'll go to all lengths, especially with my private network, to make sure that you get what you need. Me, I don't care who I have to contact. If I have to contact, me, I don't care who. Because the thing is, I don't have shame like everybody else. I see so many people who have they feel so cautious. They're like, no, but you know what people think about me? I'm like, let them think. But you know the one thing that they remember me. They remember how far I was willing to go to get them what they want. Also, they're willing to see how far I'm willing to go to get what I want. That I'm willing to embarrass myself publicly to get what I want. And that is the same craziness my ambitious friends look for. Because they know that when I call Elsie to do something for me, the job will get done. Right? But I don't offer that to people who don't do that. Not even just like who don't show up. I don't offer that to lazy people. I don't offer that to flaky friends. I don't even offer versions of myself to most people. I offer those versions of myself who you call and I'll give you the same because you know, if I have an opportunity, I will call the people I know who execute on that opportunity. I won't just call you. No, my friend, there's many millions of people in this world who aren't great opportunities. There are millions of ambitious people in this world. And I'm going to search the ends of the earth until I find those people. Right? But I don't offer that version of myself to everybody because some of us we're showing up too much for people who don't show up for us, or people who say that they want things and when it's time for you to grant them that opportunity, they don't take it. Right? Those are not the friends we're speaking about. Because even to me, those are the friends I keep at a distance. Why? Because that same, that character trait will rub off on me, and I'm not like that. And I'm not dimming my light for anybody. Right? So again, call up your most ambitious friend. And start telling them, right, remember when you told me you want to drive a Rolls Royce? Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah, I'm serious. And then you start scheming how you're going to get there. Because where there's a will, there is a way. Where there is a will, there is a way. I'm telling you, all the things that you want in your life will manifest the moment that you start acting like the person that you say you want to be. And not just acting, but making sure that the people you surround yourself with are the exact same caliber of person that you're saying that you want to be. And even if that means you grow together, right? Because I've also grown with this friend, right? But I've always had this, I've always had that conviction that this friend means what they say and says what they mean, right? And I also show up like that to the extent that I can. It doesn't mean that anybody is perfect, but we do what we do and we say what we say and we reply when it's time to reply. And we show up for each other the way we say we were going to show up to each other in the beginning. And that has been consistent. That has never been a thing where I had to question this person's character, flakiness. No, because people show you who they are the first time. And whether you choose to believe it or not, that's your choice, right? But again, the most ambitious people will take you far. Everybody else will not take you that far, right? Everybody else who's not very sure and who second guesses themselves, those people will not go far. Because in this world, we need crazy, ambitious people who don't care about anybody else and their opinion. And two, you are a bit delusional. You will never achieve anything in your life. And I'm personally, from somebody who lacks shame, right? You will never achieve anything in your life. Because if I had shame, right? If I had shame, I would. You have to be shameless in this world. You have to be shameless, right? That means have morals. Do the right thing. I'm not talking about your moral standing. What I'm speaking about is this shame that you had acquired from the world. This shame that you acquired from things that happened to you. This shame that you acquired from things you did to others that you've not forgiven yourself or even gone to say sorry for. Right? Because it's not only the things that other people do to us that, you have this whole speech about the past and what happened to you in the past. But when we start speaking about the present moment and what you want to do with your future, you don't know. You don't have that. Not because you're a bad person, but it's because you've inhabited the things that happened to you and made them your identity. And the moment that you make identities out of things, that's when you acquire shame, right? Because you think that you have to constantly play this role. And you feel shame in your heart because you think that other people, everything that every other person says about you or this group or this identity that I have to maintain it. Let go of their identity and do what you need to do. Let go of these identities. Because that's where shame is. Shame is in thinking that you have to be who you were 5 years ago today. That is shame. And to succeed, you need shamelessness. Now, the opposite of that. The type of person who says, I don't care what they say about me. I care what I say about me. I care what I was put on this planet to do. I care about what my ambitious friend is telling me that I am capable of doing. That is when you will achieve. So I repeat this again. Call your most ambitious friend and tell them, look, I believe in the version of you're there chatting to me about. I believe in the version of you're telling me that I can be. And let's build, let's grow. But you have to let go of these past identities and this shame that you carry about things that happened to you. Whatever happened yesterday and before that doesn't even exist. It is just a fragment of imagination because it doesn't exist. We have to focus on today right now because even tomorrow is not promised. But anyways, that is coming from a personal African entrepreneurship update. You have to be so serious and so outspoken about what you want so that you can attract the type of person that brings you those opportunities that you want. But if you keep hiding, right, and you keep hanging around people who don't want what you want, they will have an impact on you and you'll never achieve your dreams. And you always have some level of anger towards them, or you'd have regret, and that will make you angry at people who didn't have that intention in the first. There's nobody who's actively trying to prevent you from succeeding. That may just be all they know, right? But you also must understand that if you choose to stay in a room where you're not with ambitious people, and you're not outspoken about what you want, you'll never attract the opportunities that you want, because you're too busy trying to maintain this identity instead of assuming the position you're supposed to assume. Me, I'm talking to builders. Me, I'm talking to people who want Rolls Royces. I'm speaking to people who are just, they have that dog, they have that drive, in them, that is calling them for something higher. That is who I'm speaking to, because you'll understand what I'm trying to say. But anyways,